Good evening. I'm Michael Winkler, currently serving as the mayor of Arcata. I want to welcome you to the annual Lantern Floating Ceremony. I first want to acknowledge that Arcata exists in the land that has been the ancestral home of the WWII people since time immemorial. Even before that, it was the home of other creatures living here when the ancestors of the WWII people came here from Asia more than 10,000 years ago. This is a celebration of life and also a remembrance of the dead and injured from the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. In a larger sense, it is a stand against all war and all mass killings. World War II was the most destructive war in human history. World War II began in 1931 with the attack by one people of color, the Japanese, against another people of color, the Chinese. It ended in 1945 with American atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the 20th century, many acts in World War II and other mass killings by governments killed many more people than the atomic bombs. For example, the United States fire bombings of Dresden, Germany and Tokyo, Japan, the rape of Nanjing by the Japanese, the extermination camps of Germany, mass killings of so-called enemies of the people by the communist regimes in Russia, China, and Cambodia. And the list goes on and on. The question that I've asked myself is, what makes the atomic bombings uniquely horrible and especially noteworthy today, 75 years later? The atomic bombs represented the application of the highest and purest level of intellectual, technical, and scientific knowledge and achievement applied to mass killing. Before this, as horrible as World War II was, it was still in some sense to operate within understandable human scale and activities. With the atomic bomb and the vastly greater destructive power of the hydrogen bomb, perfected less than 10 years later, we were literally staring into the abyss. After the first atom bomb test in July 1945, Robert Oppenheimer, the leader of the atomic bomb project, quoted from the scriptures of India, "Now I am death, destroyer of worlds." With the atomic bombings, it became clear that there is no limit to our ability and willingness to kill and destroy to achieve some ill-defined end, even to the point of destroying all life on Earth. In my lifetime, during the Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962, the world came within seconds of a devastating nuclear war that would likely have killed hundreds of millions of people. As individuals, humans can be loving and nurturing and caring. Acting collectively brings out the best and the worst in us as human beings. We are very protective and devoted to those in our circle of care. Our family members, members of our own color or ethnic group, our fellow citizens, those of our own religion and political beliefs. To the others, those outside of our circle of care, we can be cold, hateful, ruthless, and destructive, and ready to silence, kill, and destroy. Some underlying beliefs can make us able to kill and destroy on this mass scale. Feeling our group is superior in terms of culture, values, and beliefs, that we are the essence of what it means to be fully human. The other group is inferior, subhuman, and dangerous. The other group threatened and attacked us first. We are simply defending ourselves. We are the enlightened ones. They need to be enlightened or destroyed. If I don't do it, someone else will. If I fear ostracized if I go against the group or if I refuse to follow orders. Or if I feel without the protection of the group, I am alone and vulnerable. Or I believe that this war or revolution is justified and the killing and destruction is justified because it will result in a just and lasting peace like was claimed in World War I as the war to end all wars. This lantern ceremony is one opportunity to reflect on all this, to move away from the us versus them mentality, to allow those with whom we disagree to speak no matter how wrong and hurtful we think what they're saying is. In the Christian tradition, as Jesus said, to love our enemies, to see our shared humanity in our enemies, to work for peace, to educate ourselves about war, militarism, and the military-industrial complex, and to work to oppose it, to again make war visible. As Marvin Gaye said, war is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. It is too easy to see hate in others. We must recognize the hate in ourselves, put it aside, and move beyond it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy and get a lot out of the presentations by those who followed this evening.
Hello everyone, I am Mo Harper Desir, and I want to acknowledge the land I am recording from on as historically Wiyot territory, and I thank them as I gather on this land. I would also like to take a moment of silence for all the Black bodies we have lost through oppressive tactics, police brutality, or at any hand of hatred. It is humbling to see the amount of support the Black community has received from Humboldt County over the course of these traumas, which aren't new, but certainly seem to ramp up with the death of Ahmaud Arbery. I thank those who have wanted to be a part of the change. The deaths and disappearances of Black, brown, and indigenous bodies caused by police brutality and the structure of the police state are small numbers to a very large, long list. So it is important to be sure to also support Black joy and Black healing. If you'd like to support local efforts of Black healing, please check out Youth Art Will Succeed, directed by Andrea Stuckey, across all major platforms. Recognizing these things as they happen, holding space for them, holding space for our Black community to feel through these moments are important, and even more important in areas like Humboldt County, where we see the population being predominantly white or white passing. The most important actions to change come after the protests and after all the social media hype. It comes from your truest intention for change and what you are personally willing and able to do. Sometimes that is a donation. Sometimes it's volunteer hours, diversity training for your staff, stepping down from a position of power, or just listening to Black and brown communities more. Allyship goes farther than showing up for protest. It's standing in solidarity even when the media isn't advising us to do so, or local organizations are making calls for demonstrations. In these heavy times, it is also very important and meaningful to have community and family. Both things you are born with and into, but also pose the opportunity to build your own, with your own rules, your own traditions, and your own ideas of love. Ultimately, people you can trust and depend on to support you, accept you as you are, and help you prioritize your wellness. Finding your community and feeling as though you truly belong and are safe is so important for people of all ages to be authentic to themselves, grow, glow, and learn self-love. Black Humboldt works locally to create all these feelings within our Black and brown communities. We focus our energy on creating and sustaining exclusive events for Black community members to help foster healthy, safe relationships amongst our community. You may also see us supporting the BIPOC community through business and monetary support, like our business list on our website and promotion across our social media accounts. For more information on Black Humboldt, you can check out www.blackhumboldt.com. Here you will find ways to donate, support, and the list of BIPOC businesses. All right, I'm gonna close out my time with a poem by Gil Scott Heron, and it is entitled, I think I'll call it Morning. And I think it does a good job of describing creating your own joy and your own happiness and your own displays of happiness and what that means for you. And I think it reflects on the time we have together and as we create family and community with one another. I'm gonna take myself a piece of sunshine and paint it all over the sky. Be no rain, be no rain. I'm gonna take the song from every bird and make them sing it just for me. Be no rain. And I think I'll call it morning from now on. Why should I survive on sadness? Convince myself I've got to be alone. Why should I subscribe to this world's madness, knowing that I've got to live on? I think I'll call it morning from now on. I'm going to take myself a piece of sunshine and paint it all over the sky. Be no rain, be no rain. I'm going to take the song from every bird and make them sing it just for me. Why should I hang my head? Why should I let tears fall from my eyes? When I've seen everything that there is to see, and I know that there ain't no sense in crying. I know that there ain't no sense in crying. I think I'll call it morning from now on. Thanks.
The sunshine bid me out to play. I walk the trail and chance to meet a friend who cycles on the way. Behind a mask he called to greet. We chatted 6 feet in between, since now demands this novel bug that leaves us wanting, less serene, as once we would have shared a hug. Along the shore I shed my woes and wandered to the mighty sea, where waves did kiss my naked toes and brought me to a bended knee. While overhead the seabirds flew, in time I headed toward my place. Around the bend past seals I knew, renewed by nature's warm embrace. For this is where beneath the sky that truth divine itself reveals, behind the knowledge or the why, and masks undone cannot conceal.
Smiling face, outstretched hand, through disputes, small and grand, we will lay down our guns, we are one. In the rage, through the war, we have shared pain before. In our grief, when it's done, we are one, we are one. Where the earth touches sky, we are born, we all die. Where the clear waters run, we are one, we are one. Where the light touches land, over sea, over sand, when each day has begun, we are one. When the rock wears away and the tide rolls and sways, by the moon, by the sun, we are one, we are one. Where the earth touches sky, we are born, we all die. Where the clear waters run, we are one, we are one. In the soft of the night, we are learning not to fight. In our hearts, in the drum, we are one. In the birth of a child, through the fierce and the mild, in our daughters and sons. We are one, we are one in our daughters and sons. We are one, we are one.
Ayukui Natamir, my friends, my relatives. My name is Jean McCovey. I'm a Yurok tribal elder from the Klamath River. I've come to tell you a story about Hiroshima and Nagasaki that we never saw. And the story begins with Gasky Town and Orleans Town up in extreme northwest California in the Siskiyou Mountains wilderness. And on the Klamath River, where our people are from, the sacred high country has been there for time immemorial. And so one of our dances that we do is we balance between good and evil. And then we rebuild the world anew. In one of our dances, we take the obsidian blade across the dance ground and we cut the world open. And through our prayers and our formulas and our dancing and singing, we rebuild the world. And so a long time ago, during the time when the United States was fearful of Japan, that we were going to be invaded by Japan, they started to build a road from the town of Gasky and from the town of Orleans on the east side, and they were going to meet up with the west side, and the people would be able to evacuate. And so this road was being built, and of course we know about the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the tragedy and war and death and the annihilation of people was a part of U.S. history. They really learned how to do that by expelling the native indigenous people from their homelands, determining war upon them. It was a U.S. policy. It was a U.S. policy to do that and take the land. And so Japan and the United States went to war, and so that was why the road was being built. We weren't aware of it, and when the bombs were exploded, it negated their reason for having the road, the Go Road, built. And then it wasn't till like in the 1970s when the U.S. Forest Service wanted to complete that road. And they were going to take the timber from the east side, the Orleans side, over the mountain to Gasky and on into Oregon, because there were no mills in northwest California at that time. And there was a big fight in court regarding having that road built. The Department of Justice told the U.S. Forest Service, if we win the case, you will build a road. And we lost the case. It was an integral part of our religion. It was environmentally rich. It was fought for by the environmentalists, by socialists, social justice, and many, many indigenous people. The sacred mountains over in Hawaii were depending on our case because that meant our sacred land was important, integral to our culture. And we lost the case, but there was so much disgruntled with the environmental people, the tribes, that the road was never built. So up in the sacred high country, our Indian doctors, our medicine people, our dancers, our singers, we depend on our culture and our ability to learn about our people and to pray. And so, with that in mind, the message today is humanity needs to come together. Humanity needs to recognize that we are children of Mother Earth. That in our prayers, in our spirituality, in our knowledge, in our forefathers, Creator gave us a job to do, and that was to rebuild the world. The Karuk, the Hupal, the Yurok, the Cholula, the Wiyot, the Tolowa Dene are all part of that religion. And we recognize that we have to protect that. And part of that is we are children of Mother Earth. And as children, our ascension, our spirituality, our prayers, our toil that we fight for the environment, fight for pristine air, for pristine water, for fertile soil. That is our job for the continuation of creation. And so in walking that way, when we learn from one another, we know that the white man built the biggest bombs, the biggest fires you can think. And so with that in mind, we don't want it. We don't need it. We need to walk away from death. And so as we choose our path back to Creator, this is the path that I chose, and admonish our humanity that peace and harmony and love and compassion is what elevates us, that makes us ascended beings. And as children of Mother Earth, it's her ascension. And so, with a big heart and a big prayer every day is to remember humanity around the world. So when we do our dances and we pray, we don't pray just for us. We pray for humanity around the world because we are brothers and sisters. And we must realize our connectivity. And that connectivity is we're connected to the trees. They chose to leave Creator to come here to be who they are. They chose to come here thousands of years ago to be who they are. And so with that in mind, they sequester, they take in the CO2, one of the greenhouse gases. They sequester that and they use it. They make sugars, they make food out of it. And then they expel it. The waste is oxygen. And so that's the message of connectivity, in that our oxygen comes from the trees. And when you look at maps of old time ago, the trees were everywhere. The trees aren't everywhere now. And we're on the Pacific coast, and the trees are a lot here. We don't have the old trees, and they are the ones that sequester the most CO2. And that's what we need to realize, how we're connected with the animals, with the water, with the air, and our fertile soil. We say and ask these prayers and these blessings in a good way. And so today, when we take time out to commemorate the passing of the Japanese people by virtue of the atomic bombs, it's a place in history. So it's like the Jewish people, they were a lesson. And they were a lesson like the buffalo. And the buffalo were a lesson like the rainforest. Is that to see what the rainforest happening, what happened to the buffalo, what happened to the Jewish people, what happened to the indigenous people across America. And still today, the indigenous people around the world, we are at odds with the lack of compassion, the lack of humanity. To recognize peace and harmony in your heart, you have to see it, you have to look for it, you have to sing for it, you have to pray for it. And when you walk from your prayer, when you walk back home, back off of the dance ground, you know how important you are dancing on the ground. So this year, 2020, when people are dying because of the pandemic or other ills, our prayer is big. Our prayer entails humanity and a better way to walk back to Creator. And so I have in front of me some wakpe in the hupa way, it's makachukolin, and the karuk way is kishwoof. Bare root on the plains is a herb that Creator gave us and was handed down to us to burn, to purify your mind, to purify your body, your home, where you stand, where you worship, where you recognize your spiritual soul and your words that come out and speak is your spirit and your soul. And you share it into the physical. And so that's my gift today. And if I could sing a song, it would go like this. Enua, 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 ha 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 Enua, Enua. The song I sang is a brush dance song, a healing ceremony, and I would like to thank the Risen family for allowing me to use their song. Where we come from in extreme Northwest California, our people speak different languages, but we come from the same cultural area. So we have the brush dance, a healing ceremony. We have the white deerskin dance, and then we have the jump dance. We have the kick dance, which is a doctor dance, and then we have the flower dance, which is when we recognize a young woman into our community. So that's just, I asked the dance leader, are we going to have a secret dance so that we can dance in because of the pandemic? And he didn't answer right away. But his answer was, we always dance. We always dance. That's what Creator put us here for His purpose, for our ascension, for our spirituality. And so, find the love in your heart. Find peace and harmony. You have to work at it. And when you get together with your people and you can laugh and be happy, and the joy in your heart is a good way to walk. Blessings. Walk cloud. Walk cloud. Walk cloud.
Hi guys! Today we're going to read a book about peace that I wrote, and here it is. You guys are ready? Love peace. Peace is kind and nice. Peace is nature. Listening to nature. Peace is quiet. And peace is happy. Peace is fun. Peace is resting. Love, peace. Peace is love. Hey guys, how did you like that? Tell me next time. Bye!
When we make peace instead of war, when we make peace instead of war, oh how I want to be in that number. When we make peace instead of war, when all the world has human rights, justice rules instead of force. When justice rules instead of force. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When justice rules instead of force. Oh, when police learn to share the cares and folks in crisis get support. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When folks in crisis get support. Oh, when we change our racist ways. Oh, when we change our racist ways. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When we change our racist ways. When we make peace instead of war. When we make peace instead of war. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When we make peace instead of war. Oh, why Hiroshima? Why Nagasaki? Let's never stop asking, oh, why? The earth that we live on, the people we love, the beauties of nature and art, with caring compassion, kindness and hope. Love has a place in each heart. Yet man has invented a weapon so fierce it breaks every atom apart. Oh, why Hiroshima? Why Nagasaki? Let's never stop asking, oh, why? The hubris of science, the egos of man. 'Twas long ago, and far away across the sea, so many died in an instant. Hiroshima. Light your lights, don't ever forget that day bombs fell from the blue sky. Hiroshima. You and I, safe and happy at home, still carry the memory of that day. Hiroshima. Candles burn, lanterns float. I will remember forever Hiroshima. Yes, I will remember forever Hiroshima. Don't count in perspective of time. Whatever the reasons, we must not forget. We witnessed the ultimate crime. Each day let's remember, each day let's make sure it never can happen again. We promise this night on this marble in space, it never shall happen again. We promise this night on this marble in space, it never shall happen again. Lighted boats beneath the moon, sail in memory of Hiroshima dead, and Nagasaki too. Our boats declare that the bombs must cease. Not all is fair in love and war, the only answer, peace. Lighted boats beneath the moon, sail in memory of Hiroshima dead.